Hi, I'm Sean Basie from www.saintfacetious.com, or a facetious guide, as I like to call it, off of the series of books that I have, tour guides, and off an upcoming pseudo tour guide, How to Travel with Your Kid guide, a facetious guide to traveling with your kid. Today I'm going to talk about our little adventure we had last week, which was to the Troll Forest here in Belgium. Now, a couple of weeks ago I was talking about Colorado vacationing, a very specific subject, things to do in Colorado in winter with your kid. See, I wasn't lying about it being specific. If you have to narrow it down, you've really got a niche after 4 or 5 times. Anyways, so over there in Colorado, I brought up a mention about this big troll named Rita. And Rita lives down near Cripple Creek, and she spends most of her time patching up holes that were created by men leaving their mine shafts behind, and she fills them up. And of course, a lot of gold mining there, and I mean that's why all the white people are there, and Rita's got to fix up the environment left behind by the gold mines. Of course, Rita's not a real troll. She's just a big statue of a troll, and she just represents that. And it's a good representation because a lot of the businesses and a lot of the people that live there are trying to patch up a lot of the old gold mines. Of course, with the cooperation of the gold mining company, Victor Gold Mining Company, I think is what it's called, named after the town Victor. So that's a pretty cool thing. And they're trying to rehabilitate a lot of the hills that were stripped off, mined, and done, and left behind just, the mining companies now are planting trees, what are left behind. Sometimes it looks, sometimes it looks good. They're trying to make trails, hiking trails through there again, rehabilitate the area in all earnest means. Now, one of that effort was to bring tourism in, and one of the things that brings tourism in is Rita, the giant troll, and of course the ice castles, also which I mentioned. But we're talking about Rita. They invited an artist named Thomas Dambo in to build Rita, because that's his thing. He builds trolls, and when I say he builds trolls, he goes around the entire world building trolls. Okay, people invite him in, and he's got a team of 20 permanent full-time employees, and then he also gets some volunteers from the communities to help build his big, huge trolls. And what he calls himself is a recycled artist, and he takes refuse and stuff from the dump or the landfill, and he brings them in and puts it all together, and boom. And it was interesting because he's got a TED Talk, which is on YouTube. Maybe I'll link to it below. It's linked on my blog, actually. He's got a TED Talk where he talks about there's so much landfill produced in the United States alone that you could build 2 million trolls a year, from the landfill stuff every year. And of course, we don't need 2 million trolls. That'd be a lot, just the 100 or 120 that are there, that are throughout the world today are probably enough. They'd take over the world otherwise with 2 million, because they're big. They're 20 feet big, and they're pretty cool though. I like them. So it got me interested though. I was thinking, man, where else are there trolls? And then I found out there's a whole forest of trolls here in Belgium. So it's near a town named Mechelen. It's over in Flanders, and it's called Trollenbos. I kind of said that with a Finnish accent, I guess. I don't know. I don't speak Dutch. I haven't learned Dutch. Dutch to me sounds like it would be a fairy tale language. It sounds like something the dwarves would speak. I think Tolkien should have studied Dutch instead of Nordic languages, and that's what he would have settled on Dutch for the troll speak, for the dwarf speak, dwarvish, and it just sounds like oompa doompa loompa doop. Something like that. That's to my ears. Obviously, that's not actually how Dutch sounds, so don't get offended, Dutch people. Just my untrained ears, that's how it sounds. It sounds like a drunk Scotsman is trying to speak German with a British accent, or an English accent, sorry. Or a drunk German is trying to speak English with a Scottish accent. Somewhere around there. Some mix of that cross-Atlantic trade, and that's what we get from Dutch, and there's probably a pretty solid reason of that. I imagine having to do with like the close relationship between the Dutch and the English over the years, Saxons and blah blah blah. Yeah, so there's obviously a historic scientific reason. I should have a pipe for when I get into my academic talk like that. So, anyways, there's this Trollenbos out there, and it was built in a park called de Schorre. And de Schorre, which could also be de Schorre or de Schorre, or I don't speak Flemish. Because when I look at it, I want to say de Schorre is Chorre, but that's coming from an English background, and I know like in German you got for ch. So whatever, could be de Schorre, could be de Schorre, could be de Schorre, something like that. It's over near Mechelen. Look it up on a map, or you can just go on my blog and see how it's spelled. So over there in de Schorre, it was an old clay quarry, is what it was. It used to be. And now it's a Parc Provincial. And you'll notice in Belgium, if you ever visit Belgium and you have kids, you should look up all the Parc Provincials. They're called domains, actually. Domein. Domain Provincial. And what they are is they're either old mining areas or they're old manor houses, like where a knight would live to protect his communities. And so it's usually they'll have like in the center is like a castle. There's usually a beer garden, a restaurant. There's always children's playgrounds, and it's just a really nice place to spend a day. Very nicely landscaped, usually a pond or something as well. It's just beautiful places throughout Belgium that are just great places to have a picnic, play some ball, take your kid. So if you're ever visiting, especially if you're long term, definitely go. Definitely go to this one if you're short term because of the trolls, I would say. In the summer, they also host a festival called Tomorrowland. Of course, if you're an old fart and you've never heard electronic music, you wouldn't have any idea what that is. But if you listen to electronic music, like myself, you would know that Tomorrowland is the world premiere musical destination for people taking LSD. For people who listen to like psytrance and techno and all that. It's the biggest DJs in the world go there. And they have this gigantic stage setup every year because it's a very artistic festival. They have a huge stage setup that just really intricate, beautiful pieces of art like that are built up, but they're always kind of a psychedelic in nature because let's be honest, it's a psychedelic event. Yeah, you get high, right? But I mean, they really crush down on the drugs, but come on, yeah, it's Belgium. So yeah, you go to Tomorrowland, and these guys, the guys who do the Tomorrowland festival, they wanted to give back to the community, so they were thinking of ways to make it something permanent, to leave something permanent behind that everyone can use and everyone can enjoy. So they helped develop the forest area, and what you get now is this cool art piece, art installation from Thomas Dambo. They hired him out there to build 7 trolls throughout the forest. And some of these trolls are kind of hidden. Some of these trolls are in the water, like because it's also a swamp. Like this old clay quarry is dug down and it's filled in with water as everything is in Flanders. And so now you have these really cool trolls that are just spread out throughout, and it kind of climaxes with the Trollen, another cool fairy tale sound. And that is this tower that's kind of this really shamanic looking tower. It's got all these like crystals and weird skulls and stuff. Like it looks like something from World of Warcraft if you've ever played that game. And there's a big troll sitting next to it, and he's wearing this crazy like painted cool looking mask. And it's a very cool place. And you can walk up the tower, and it's a really great view all around. It's actually in a village called Boom, which is next to Mechelen. And you can see all of Boom all around you, of course, in the park. It's really nice. And there's throughout the walk, there's also all these little features of, they have these Fruitenpathens or something in Dutch, I forget the specific name of it, but the idea was that you take off your shoes and you walk through them with your bare feet, and you can feel these different textures. So they have a couple of those tracks. They have a lot of playgrounds. They have this cool trail that goes through the swamp, and so you're walking on a wood path, really, that they've built up over the water. And then you see all the trolls. Like one troll they have is named Arvid, and he's sitting on the path itself, so you have to kind of go around him. Another troll is just kind of peeking in the trees from across this lake. And so there's all these trolls. And you can see more pictures of them and read more about them at my blog down below. Follow the link. Now, as we're walking through, my son obviously had all these questions, like, why are there big trolls here? Of course, I cannot answer that question, so naturally I just made up the answers. Like, oh, they live here, but they're not moving, Dad. Well, it's because they're asleep. Like, why are they asleep? All these people making noise. Well, because when the sun rises, they have to go to sleep, because the magic that keeps them alive works off the stars. And like, well, why are there all these screws on their skin? And I'm like, well, that's like, like an ankylosaurus has his spikes, the troll has screws. And it's because they eat a diet rich in minerals and like iron and magnesium or whatever. Like they eat their potatoes, they eat their fish, they eat all that stuff that your parents put on the plate for them, like you should be doing. That's, if you want to be big, strong like a troll, you should eat your food. So that was kind of fun. It, usually, I like in data analysis. I'll tell you a story about data analysis. They have a rule called the 5 5s. No, 5 whys. And what that rule is usually you should ask a question why 5 times to get to the root cause of something. Okay, so for instance, why is the sky blue? There's one question, right? And then it was because of the, that's like one question to get to that root. Let's take maybe a political thing. So why, I'm suddenly shot of all my curiosity. I'm always asking why myself. But anyways, you get the point. So why? And eventually you get to the source of it. With kids, they just keep asking why. And I don't want to be one of those people constantly on their phone or resorting to Google. This is what I hate in bars. Like, phones have killed life in bars because all people do is they pull out their phone. You get in any argument, they just pull out your phone. It's no longer a fun practice in rhetoric. It's now just a competing trivia game ruled and measured by Google. And that's kind of lame. I would rather, I'm not at the bar to learn. I'm at the bar to have a social experiment, so to say, to talk and to navigate the networks, not to just sit on my damn phone. Like, just why are we looking at our phones? It's not a contest. Like, talking is not a competition. Should not be a competition. But here we are. We're competing all the time. Anyways, I don't want to be one of those parents that are always taking out their phone to look at it, to check the facts. I want to show my son that he can have the facts in his head as well, or have an imagination to produce it. I may be giving him some pretty wild answers, but I think at the root of it, he knows that I'm kind of full of BS. And this is probably why he doesn't listen to me about doing anything like going to bed. Nope. Okay, well, yeah. I think that's about all that I have to say about the Troll Forest and Thomas Dambo and Tomorrowland. And yeah, next time, hopefully next week, I'll be back and have a wonderful day. Check out my blog down below and sign up for my newsletter to be keyed in on my upcoming book, A Facetious Guide to Traveling with a Kid, which I take it's a mix between anecdotes of my failures in traveling and advice to what you should and shouldn't do if you haven't gone traveling yet. If you're a new parent, it's perfect. If you're an old parent, you'll have a definite chuckle. And if you know people who are going to be parents, it would make a great gift once it's out. but sign up on the newsletter so you can keep in tune on when that's out and when all my other stuff like blogs and vlogs come out too. Alrighty, have a good day and see you next week.